Ever get that feeling like you're kind of living someone else's life?
Oh, yeah, like a memory that just doesn't quite fit.
Right. Or maybe you felt a presence, something just beyond the everyday.
Ooh, spooky.
Today we're going deep into Morbid, a true crime podcast and their listener tales.
The ones that really get under your skin, make you question everything.
Exactly. And we've got a wild mix this time. We've got a woman who might be a medium,
Ooh.
a truly shocking discovery at a crematorium. A ghost who seems to love interior design.
Sounds like my kind of ghost.
And a break-in that sounds like something straight out of Scooby-Doo.
All right, I'm hooked.
But let's start with that first story. Imagine you're 11 years old, home alone, and your dead uncle appears in your bedroom.
Oh, thank you.
This is exactly what happened to one listener back in 1989.
So she says.
What's so wild is that it wasn't a scary ghost story.
Oh, really?
She described her uncle as comforting, like he was just checking in on her.
Hmm.
She even talked to him while she did her chores, and then eventually he just went away. But
There's a but.
there's always a but. She moves into this 200-year-old farmhouse,
Uh-oh.
and things start to get strange. Her daughter starts talking about an imaginary friend named Teddy and describing him in detail.
Hmm.
And get this, later, the woman sees a photo of her deceased uncle, and her daughter says, "It's Teddy."
Whoa.
It's like her uncle's spirit followed them to the new house. And maybe the daughter was picking up where her mom left off.
Interesting. So they're both seeing this, Teddy.
Right. But hold on.
There's more.
This story doesn't end there. She has a son, names him after her uncle.
Hmm.
And right from the moment he can talk, this little boy starts sharing memories.
Memories.
Yeah, like vivid memories. But from a life before he was born, he even says the woman's grandmother was his mother in a past life.
Wow. So reincarnation.
And it's not just vague things, like he describes specific details from family vacations that happened before he was born, like a train ride to Disney World, the inside of a car, even those Mickey Mouse ears with names stitched on them, things he couldn't have known unless he was really there.
That's wild. Makes you wonder.
It really does.
Mhm.
When you hear something like that, it challenges everything you thought you knew about life and death, doesn't it? Makes you wonder if reincarnation is real. Like maybe part of us carries these echoes of past lives. What do you think?
I don't know. It's certainly pushing the boundaries of what we think is possible. I mean, imagine if we accept those memories as real, what does it tell us about consciousness? About life after death? It's fascinating and a little unsettling at the same time.
Absolutely. Stories like this remind you how much we just don't understand. But okay, let's switch gears for a minute. We're going to a small town in Georgia in 2002. A propane delivery driver notices something off about the local crematorium.
Oh, this is where it gets dark.
Yeah, because what they found was horrifying. 339 decomposing bodies scattered in the woods around the crematorium. The owner, Brent Marsh, had been giving families urns filled with concrete dust instead of the ashes of their loved ones.
Oh my God, just awful. It's heartbreaking. Those families not knowing what really happened. Marsh plead guilty to 787 counts, including abuse of a corpse. But he never said why he did it. And to this day, over 100 families are still wondering if they ever got the remains of their loved ones or just concrete dust.
It really makes you think about the darkness out there and the people we trust.
It does. It's one of those stories that stays with you. Okay, so from a story that chills you to the bone, let's go to one that's a little lighter, though no less intriguing. This one takes us back to the 70s.
Ooh, the 70s. Bell-bottoms and disco.
Right, and a ghost with a very particular hobby interior design.
A ghost with style. I love it.
This young couple buys this great fixer-upper, totally clueless that they're moving in with a ghost,
Oh.
who has very strong opinions about decor.
Uh-oh.
Imagine their surprise when they find the furniture moved back to how it was, doors slamming shut, and even a soot handprint on a freshly painted wall.
That's one way to make a statement.
Right, like, hey, this is how it's supposed to be. Don't mess with my style.
But instead of running away, the wife does something pretty brave. She confronts the ghost.
Whoa, hold on. She talks to the ghost?
Yep. And this is where it gets really interesting. Instead of freaking out, the ghost seems to calm down. The paranormal stuff doesn't stop completely, but it changes. They start seeing things like the rocking cradle and rocking chair gently moving.
Oh, like the ghost is watching over them?
Exactly. Like once it got used to them and started to protect them,
Yeah.
it makes you think maybe you can reason with ghosts.
Maybe they just want to be heard and have good taste.
All right, ready for our last story. This one is a wild ride, a real thriller with a little bit of comedy thrown in. We're talking late-night intruder, very sleepy husband, and a voice that would send Scooby and Shaggy running.
Okay, this I gotta hear.
So picture this. September 2021, Minnesota. A couple fast asleep, and the wife wakes up to a banging sound. Looks out the window, and there's a man staring back at her.
Oh no, that's terrifying.
Right. Total adrenaline rush. She wakes up her husband, who's obviously still half asleep.
Hmm.
And this is where it gets funny. He tries to scare off the intruder, but his sleepy voice comes out sounding like a Scooby-Doo villain.
Wait, what? Like those creepy, deep-voiced ghosts from the cartoon?
Exactly. All rattling chains and ominous pronouncements. I can only imagine the intruder's face. Must have been priceless.
I bet. He's probably thinking, who is this guy?
Right. But as funny as that is, the situation was actually really serious
Oh, yeah. Of course.
because the intruder didn't back down. Even when confronted with the ghostly voice, he tries to break into the garage, ignores all the warnings, and things get really tense. The husband gets his gun and it becomes a standoff.
Intense.
The wife is on the phone with 911. The husband's got his gun and the intruder's yelling, daring him to shoot. It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
And luckily, the cops show up just in time.
Wow, thank goodness.
They arrest the intruder after a bit of a struggle, but it really messed them up. The wife talks about being traumatized, hypervigilant, always feeling scared in her own home. It shows you how, even when the danger's gone, the fear can stay with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It makes you think about protecting yourself and your family, not just physically, but emotionally too.
It makes you think, how would I react in a situation like that? You know.
Right. You think you know, but until you're there.
It's hard to say.
Exactly. It really shows how important it is to be prepared, not just physically, but like you said, emotionally too.
For sure. But you know what gets me about all these stories? From the woman talking to her dead uncle to the ghost who loves decorating to that crazy break-in is how resilient people are.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Even with all the chills and fear, these stories show how much we need to understand to connect, to find meaning even when things are scary or confusing.
Right. Whether it's reincarnation or broken trust, or even finding something funny in a scary situation, these stories remind us that we all want answers, something to believe in.
Definitely. It's what draws us to these kinds of stories, right? That need to see what's behind the curtain, explore those mysteries, question what we think we know.
Exactly. So as we finish up this deep dive into Morbid and these listener tales, we're left with a lot of questions. Do we have past lives? Can we really talk to the dead? How do we deal with the darkness in life?
I think the biggest takeaway is to never stop asking those questions. Keep that curiosity alive. Because when we're curious, when we look at the things we don't understand, that's how we learn about ourselves and the world around us.
And who knows, maybe you have your own story. Something weird that happened, a strange coincidence, a moment that made you question everything. If you do tell someone, reach out.
Yeah.
Because every story, every voice adds to what it means to be human.
And sometimes those scary stories, the ones that make us uncomfortable, are the ones that teach us the most. So keep listening, keep sharing, and keep exploring the unknown.